Welcome to The Space, a virtual show that focuses on Africa's contributions to knowledge. I have been fortunate to have met and even worked with so many amazing people of African descent, composers of African operas and art music, visual artists, museum curators, creators of experiential media and virtual productions, choreographers, musicians, art collectors, and cultural specialists who succinctly explain Africa's contributions to knowledge. Join me once a month at the space to learn more about how the African spirit is preserved in the arts. Register on Eventbrite to be one of our virtual audience. See you at the space, a place for me and you on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube.
I always wanted to do business, but I didn't know in what area. And I also know that this trip is not only about culture and spiritual, but there's a business aspect. So us traveling around to different parts, I noticed a lot of open land, and I started asking questions.
As a professional in the hotel industry, what advice can you give?
Africa is rising.
We are the soil. We are the people, the first people, and we're going to be here.
Because we are the endless roar. We are the endless roar. We are the endless roar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome to the space. My name is Joyce Adewumi, and I am your host. The New York African Chorus Ensemble is proud to collaborate with the Nigerian American Public Affairs Committee, NAPAC US, under the leadership of Dr. Nelson Aluya. We know that people are watching this historic discussion here today from all over the world, and we thank you for your support. The children of Africa in the diaspora want to come back home. They want to know who they are and connect back to their ancestors. They have questions such as, how can we fit in? Will my business thrive? Will I be welcome? In 2018, I was fortunate to travel to Nigeria with two African American women who desired to have an immersive spiritual, cultural, and business experience with no filters. The documentary that you all have watched is the result of this 21 days trip. Today, I'm so honored to have two of the kings who hosted us, our distinguished leader who facilitated our travels, and these amazing women who traveled with us to Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my sincere honor and total humility to introduce to you our distinguished guest. His Royal Highness Al-Haji Samaila Mohammed Mira, the Emir of Aragungun, is an Islamic scholar and civil engineer with a Master's of Science degree in Water and Waste Engineering from Southborough University of Science and Technology in England. His civil service career started in 1983 with the Sokoto Agricultural and Rural Development Authority, where he rose through the ranks and became the technical officer for Zonal Water Engineer in 1990. The Royal Highness was appointed as Commissioner of Agriculture, Water Resources, and Rural Development, a position he held for 30 months until his appointment as the 33rd Emir of Aragungun in 1996. He is a member of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, Council of Registered Engineers of Nigeria, Institute of Water and Environmental Management, and the recipient of the National Honor of Commander of the Niger, amongst many. Our next distinguished royal father, um, His Royal Highness in Nigeria. He's in Nigeria, and so you know how the electrical connection could be. So it's my honor to introduce to you His Royal Highness, the Oba of Ikwamure Ekiti. Oba David Olushola Olatunde obtained his first degree at Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria, and completed his postgraduate studies at Lagos State University. He worked at Testimony Oil and Gas Nigeria Limited before he founded O Square Harmony Ventures Incorporated. Our royal father is one of the founders of the organization Ikun Ekiti Descendants Union Overseas, an organization seeking to promote social-economic development in the Ikun Ekiti community in Nigeria. Fido has continued to make significant contributions to the overall development of Ikun Ekiti, to the delight of the entire community. Your Royal Majesty, it is my honor to welcome you. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. And well done.
Thank you. Please, Your Royal Majesty, would you kindly tell us your view of this film, We Are the Endless Roar?
Thank you very
Your
much.
participation.
Yes, thank you very much. I think we appreciate the efforts put into this work, trying to expand the need for the African American people who have found themselves in the foreign land for many years. Many of them are lost their culture, value, but now desirable to have them back. We are here in Africa, in Nigeria, and of course, we are also looking forward to seeing our people who we share the same origin and background with. We are looking forward to having them and relate with them economically, culturally, and also do a lot of exchange, yes, so that our values and culture will not be lost fully. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Royal
Thank you.
Majesty. Next, I would like to introduce Chief Dr. Shola Olalika Ojeliki Atanda, a Nigerian American born in Osogbo, Osun State. He is the proud founder and world president of Hataf International, with headquarters in Nigeria and branches in the United States, United Kingdom, and Mexico. A holder of a doctorate degree in metaphysics and many traditional titles, including Ashiwaju Awo of Lagos and Lagos State, and Ashiwaju Awo Agbaye. He is a High Chief of Ifa and the current president of our SADC, Ancient Religion Societies of African Descendants International Council, which is a global umbrella body for all African traditional religion. Honorable Chief Dr. Shola Atanda, it's a pleasure to have you here. I would like to introduce to you Tammy Tyree. She is a singer, a multi-talented artist, a singer, a historian, a playwright, and so much more. Tammy Tyree, please tell us just a little bit about the trip that you took. This is just an opening, a teaser before we get into the real conversation.
Oh, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I'm so happy to be here today and to be able to reflect once again about this landmark experience that I had in 2018. And even more exciting is the opportunity to look once again upon the faces of the wonderful chiefs who were so hospitable toward us. The trip was something of a lifetime. And the more that I get farther away from the trip, the more I learn and understand from it. So I am looking forward to sharing, and thank you so much.
You're so welcome. All right. Next, I would like to introduce Malika Harris. She is a choreographer, a graphic artist, a social media guru. Here's his Royal Highness. And chief of staff of New York African Chorus Ensemble. But Malika Harris, please just tell us just a little bit about this trip that you took before we dive in, get that deep dive into this film.
Greetings, everyone. The trip was amazing. It was so amazing that I like to go to Nigeria every year. So I went back again after that trip the first time. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this experience and just holding the door open for all my African American people and people of the African diaspora, just inspire them to connect with their roots.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So we are now going to ask His Royal Majesty respectfully. Africans in the diaspora want to come home. They want to do business in Nigeria. The people have asked, how can Africans from the diaspora who want to live and do business in Nigeria have success? Even though we are Black, there are cultural and business differences. What can be done to make these efforts successful? Your Royal Majesty, please.
Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, as Blacks, we are always happy when we see ourselves by skin or color. Of course, we are looking forward, like I said earlier, people who are outside, who have been for many years, centuries into slavery, and many of them possibly are almost lost over. Today, the Renaissance is showing that we are more into them with open hands to welcome them back home and relate more, to share experiences, and to be able to interrelate and make benefits of the relationship. Of course, here in Africa, hospitality is one of the major values. We are hospitable to people generally. We love ourselves. And people who are in diaspora, particularly Africans in diaspora, who are desirable of coming back home to have a lot to do with us. Our people are very heartwarming to receive them, to give them leeway, to help them out, to share experiences with them, to be good neighbors, and of course, one in spirit and in body. Our people in diaspora, Nigeria particularly, and Yoruba land where I am a king, we welcome our people, even here in Nigeria. More so people who are outside will be in a good way, you're highly welcome. And of course, we are ready to input robust experience into making sure they are coming back and relationship are rewarding. And of course, lasting. We are trying to make a lot of changes, particularly here in my community. During your visits, you saw a lot of things happening here. And of course, people are wishing to come down to make, to be involved in economic activities here. Though we have a lot of stories here in Nigeria, but that is not general. We have some prevalent situations in some areas. Here, we have a very safe environment in Ekiti State, particularly in my domain here. We have the forest, we have the serene environment, we have a very lovable people around who are wishing to welcome our people, relate with them, and do a lot of cultural exchanges so that one way or the other, we are also growing daily and we are able to enjoy our lifetime. I, as the king here, I'm looking forward. My hands are open to have quite a lot of exchanges with our people in diaspora, particularly the Blacks, who we have studied a lot of history, the African history, and the long history of slavery, the long pains and agony, which today we can bring succor to ourselves. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Majesty. It's really an honor to have you here today because many people think that Nigerians don't, well, should I say, some of the African Americans think that Nigerians are not welcoming. But your presence here today is showing that you really care about your subjects who are not even living in Nigeria. We
Thank
have
you.
another question from another person, Your Royal Majesty, if I may ask you this. Contacts with the Western European culture made Nigerians thirsty for everything that was made abroad. Patronage for Nigerian-made goods dwindled so drastically, that families that were historically known for weaving clothes, for example, lost the skill, and family members were no longer interested in carrying on the family legacy. Your Royal Majesty, in the movie, Tammy said that the festival that you so kindly organized for us was called cultural tourism. I quote Tammy, "There are so many layers to this, and many people can empower themselves financially by catering to cultural tourism, and we should keep it amongst ourselves, the African and African American." Your Royal Majesty, what in your opinion do you think we need in order to promote the Ero Festival to the world?
Thank you. Like we said, a lot of cultures are into almost extinction as a result of imperialism and subjugation of our senses and sensibilities to some kind of slavery. But with the current situations, anybody who is lost, who loses his culture is also as good as dead. Today, we are trying to do a lot of renaissance, and not only in cultural values, but also in the economic activities. As a result, people's senses have gone into foreign issues or foreign products, making us to lose a lot of our economic activity that were traditionally part of our values. Like you said, of course, the tourism we are talking about, we have countries in the world where there are no mineral resources. There are not so much natural resources around them. And what they have is good areas of tourism, of which serve as major sources of their revenue and income. And they are doing quite well. Cultural tourism in the world today on its own, apart from promoting a lot of affinities and relationships, apart from bringing the values in people out, it is also a means of sustenance, economic sustenance of a people. Therefore, Your coming, for example, in 2018, again gingered our spirits more. And having gone into so many areas, and a lot of things are now being exhumed, brought into the surface. Here we have a lot of areas that could serve in the economic areas of tourism, which will be of good benefits to the survival of our people. Of course, to explore them is going to bring a lot of advantages to our people, to the country, and to the people generally. Uh, People who are interested, but particularly our people over there, I know many of us, the only thing that's, stand as major characteristics is our value and culture. And this culture and values and environment, there are a lot of tourist attractions, a lot of activities that could be of benefits, a lot of activities that could, in a way, bring to senses and great value to our people in diaspora. These are here in plenty, in large number, and of course, which we are blessed abundantly here. Particularly here around me, here in my community, there are a lot of cultural and tourist attractions. There are a lot of sites, spiritual areas, and of course, the natural environments that were, naturally endowed with, which, if tapped, will change the life history of the economic activities of our people, and removing us and moving us far away from poverty. And of course, the people living in a very, reasonable standard that will also, in a way, be of benefits or mutual benefits to both parties, both people here in Nigeria and our people in diaspora.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Your Royal Majesty. That's food for thought for those people who are out there who are interested in investing or even coming to experience African culture. You definitely, Ikiti Quinkiti, definitely has a lot to offer, as you pointed out. Kemi Tyree, as a historian, the founder of Echoes of Our Ancestors, African American History and Song, and also a cultural tourist tourism operator. You saw something about the presentation at Ikwekiti that made you make those statements and said, this is cultural tourism and you can make money out of this. Can you please elaborate on what you saw that that inspired you to make such a statement?
Well, thank you so much for that question. I think that the world is more interested these days in visiting countries and learning more about the spirit of the people as opposed to things that people used to be looking to do when they went on vacation, like dining and shopping and partying, and those things are always fun and wonderful. But I think there are people who are looking for more of an intellectual, historical, cultural experience where they interact directly with the people and learn the mindset and the traditions of the people. So that's what I was thinking of. And that is what I experienced and what I came to do with you. And I do believe that there are people who want to have more of an esoteric kind of relationship with people when they go outside of their country or outside of their particular ethnic group. Um, and so that's what I would say for people who want to come back with a learning experience, an intellectual experience, a spiritual experience. And yes, you did mention that I started a program, Echoes of Our Ancestors, African American History and Song, which I began in 2008 out of fear, out of pure fear that my own sons would grow up not connecting with themselves as uh, Black people, African descended people, African American people, because in the country that we are in, it has been all about oppressing and suppressing our contributions and everything in this country. So there's always been a movement of which I am a part to present history as it really happened, to dispel myths, to raise up the contributions of the Africans that were unwillingly brought to America, but for the past 400 years here have helped to make this nation the great place that it is. And so even here in Harlem, I participate with the Harlem Renaissance Coalition. And up until the pandemic, of course, I was leading tourists around Harlem. And we had people from all over the world, mostly people not of color, who were coming to Harlem to learn about the history of the African Americans who migrated from the southern parts of the United States, where we were brought primarily to pick cotton and tobacco. And we migrated to the northern parts of the United States for the industrial and the jobs and so forth, and created a very strong hold in this part of the country. So I am all about history. I'm about culture. I'm about disrupting myths. And I'm about holding on to the legacy and things that I know came to us organically from Africa, which we as African Americans know for sure that in our DNA, no matter how much we've had to homogenize and assimilate to survive, we have always inherited, and we have in our DNA, our culture stemming back to Africa, our music, our food, the way that we worship here, our appearance, and all the things that let us know that we are inextricably bound to you. And we just need to know more. We want to know more. And I felt welcomed. I was not prepared, obviously, as you saw in the film. I realized how much I didn't know. And me being the type of person that I am, I'm a researcher and I do a lot of work before I open my mouth. So I was overwhelmed by what I did not know. And that's why you saw me crying, because I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much that I have lost and that I don't know. I was overwhelmed with what I didn't know. And I have learned so much, and I've learned to accept, and I feel you guys are my long lost cousins. And I feel differently when I see a continental African walking around, even here in Harlem or something. I feel a bond that I never really felt before. So it was just such an amazing experience. I just have to say again how much I appreciate the experience, and how much has absorbed into the fabric of who I am. So thank you so much again. And thank you, Joyce, for allowing me to come on such a trip.
Thank you for trusting me enough to bring you to Nigeria. We had an amazing time with
You
you.
certainly did.
Yes. Now let's go to Malika Harris. Malika, in college, you took a class in African Studies. Since then, a lot has happened to you and for you. Let's say you went to Africa and then Africa came to you. Can you tell us about your journey, what you have gained, and the lessons you want to share with other people who may be thinking about going to Africa or might even be afraid to go to Africa?
Okay. Thank you, Miss Joyce, Chief Miss Joyce. Hi, everyone, again. And hello to everyone on the panel. It's great to see your faces. Yes, I started my interest in African studies back in college. So that's where my journey started. And I always kept an open mind. So when I met Miss Joyce, I furthered my studies in African culture, joining New York African Chorus Ensemble, and I got to learn African music, speak Yoruba, and also had opportunity to learn more about the culture. And from there, I was able to meet Baba, Dr. Chief Sola Atanda, and Baba was able to help me understand the African spirituality side. So I would take a lot of workshops with Baba, and by the time I went on a trip, everything started to connect from my prior experiences and being able to learn certain things before going to the trip. But it was still a first time experience. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this experience because I know my mind for me that I'm holding the door open for other African Americans my age and older than me. And even when I was going on the trip, a lot of family members and friends expressed their concern or fears, but I kept an open mind. And also the fact that I had some prior training and knowledge about African culture. Fast forward, it's 2021 and it's still impacting my life in such ways that when I got back home, I wanted to go back to Nigeria. I wanted to see the Kings. They embraced us, they welcomed us, they made us feel comfortable. It was so much love. And I enjoyed myself so much that I went back again with the opportunity with Chief Miss Joyce and Baba the second year. I was able to have more experience in Nigeria. And overall, just the impact of my life, me witnessing the culture, the respect for elders, the young people, they will come in and bow to the elders, the way people greet, the way people live, everything was connected with spirituality. So I was inspired by that. And coming back home, I tried to incorporate that more in my home, in my family life, in my work life, and the way I approach my boss, the respect that I have for people that is older than me. And it made my life have more smoother transition and improve my relationships. Like my parents always calling on me to do different things. Not that they weren't doing it before, but they saw a growth, a difference when I came back and me applying the things that I learned in Ifa spirituality, you can apply it to modern day times. And I use that in my family and my relationships with my sisters, my younger sister, Maya, who also started studying African culture because we were able to relate. My parents, my friends, my colleagues, my relationships just improved because my approach is different in terms of the humbleness that I received going to Nigeria. And also I encourage my family and my friends or peers to not be scared. And hopefully this movie also helps because they see that I went and somebody from Harlem, young like me, may want to now go, or somebody that always wanted to go. Have your own experience. Go and see it for yourself. Keep an open mind. That's the main thing. Learn, research, but go and see it for yourself so that you have um, your own view of what Africa is to you, and then you'll be able to connect and also trace your roots as a Black person in America. And I'm just grateful in so many ways, and the spiritual part really helped the trip to flow, and that's how I operate my life day to day. I'm always trying to figure out how to contribute and improve my home, my work life, the way I speak to older people, and also people the same age as me. So I would say people need to keep an open mind. If you already want to go, make a plan, pray on it, and it will happen, and have that experience so that you don't miss out.
Thank you so much for your response. It made me a bit emotional. Um,
Mrs. Joy,
yes, sir.
I would love to have just a little input. I must say that the coming of the duo who came with you, we had a very wonderful time with you. And of course, I could see you during your presence here, how happy you are, and trying to reinvent the natural lifestyle of Africans. Among my people in Ekwamorekiti, then I saw you, your dancing steps along with my people during the Rock Festival. I saw how happy you are. My people too were very happy finding you as one, moving together, sharing a lot of spiritual relationship. They gained a lot from your coming. The experiences last to date, and I know many of them still come around to tell me the much of you they will need, and much more people from the diaspora, particularly the African American descent people, who are desirable of coming around, to explore the natural and spiritual opportunities here in Africa, particularly in Nigeria here. If you want to talk about the serene environment, if you want to talk about the shrines, we want to talk about the historical rocks, even the roots where the slaves, many of the slaves were taken through before they were taken into slavery outside, and so many other sites that are in abundance here. And of course, you also shared our food, natural one, not minding that possibly that was possibly your first time of coming around to mix with my people. They were simply happy. And what a good experience. The experience lasts even to date. I, here in Equity, is open. Like I said, even your time was too short. You said 21 days in Nigeria. The days you spent with us here in Ekon, we wanted you to spend about a month here with us because we still have quite a lot to explore. So the opportunities are bound, and the relationship and the partnership from you and others of African descent who are, desiring to come around. The world is open. The opportunities are open for us to explore and for our use and reward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Highness. This,
Thank you.
I'm sure many people who are listening to you are very happy to hear your comments about this. And they've asked a question. Um, People have been talking, there have been talk about Africans in the diaspora returning as a group and establishing their own business on a parcel of land that they jointly own in some community. The local residents will be employed and retained to serve their customers and retrained to serve customers better. Many are professionals and have experience and insight on best business practices that will be of benefit to the community. Your Royal Majesty, what are your thoughts on providing space, land, for those in the diaspora to allow them to gently integrate into the community and teach best business practices to their employees who will be from the community? I don't know if
Yes,
I'm
well,
clear.
yes, thank you very much. I think one advantage we have here is land, natural land, blessed with a lot of officials, people of business minds, business people, people who wish to migrate down and resettle with their original descent people, original lineage. Here, like I said earlier, we are open for businesses, for people, and luckily our people are so hospitable, particularly to foreigners and our people who had gone for long before the modern time. The return of our people, of African American descent people, will be warmly welcomed here. Our culture, like Malika said earlier, you know, one of the values is Omoluabi, and which we call good mannerism, respect and humility. And therefore, with oneness, you know, Africans live a communal life because we see ourselves as one. We share quite a lot of things. We share religion, we share food, we share virtually everything. Residence, so many things we share together. We live in a communal lifestyle. And people coming down here will be easy to, you know, we easily integrate with our culture because our people are receptive and they are hospitable. The lands are there, and opportunities are also there to have the best practices, business practices. For example, here in Ikwamuri, we have the largest dam, man-made dam in the southwest of Nigeria, which we call a raw dam. We have quite a number of people from outside working there. We also have the Ikun Ekiti dairy farm, recently being resuscitated. We have the whites, we have the blacks. We have people from Zimbabwe, we have people from Germany working there today. They feel like like when any of us participate in the communal meetings, we relate like one family. How much more our African American descent when they are here. So that means coming back home, you feel more relaxed, feel more appreciated, and you feel more, you know, as if you are back to your original home. And therefore, those our people in diaspora, the Africans in diaspora, wishing to come back for business engagements are highly welcomed, particularly for communities that are looking forward for economic exposure and exchange both in cultural and economic activities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Royal Majesty. Tammy,
Thank you.
you know, I'm fielding the historical questions to you. Tammy, right now in the US, we're dealing with the issue of racism.
Yes.
When you and I, when we stand outside, they cannot tell that I am from Nigeria. They just see two Black women.
Correct.
Do you think that the way that African American people, let me just say Black people in general, do you think the way that Black people are perceived is based on the way that the white people perceive Africa? So they treat us this way because of the way they see Africa. Do you think that that is the reason why? They see Africa as being um, underdeveloped, dirty. They see poverty. They see all the negatives, and that's what they project out there.
Um, that is true, but I don't think that is the daily reason that and I'm going to say people of color, people of African descent are discriminated and looked down upon in the United States. I would say that it is because of the way that the majority of the people of color came to this nation. We were brought as slaves to this nation. And so this nation, there have been Eurocentric people who have always felt that they were in control of this country. But the reality is that this country would not be the great place that it is today if it had not been for the thousands and millions of people that were born in this country out of the slave trade. So I'm not even talking about those who initially came here. There were generations of people that were born of this system. And so through the ages, white children, white descendants have been taught, okay, to negate the importance of Black people in this country. And Africa as a continent has been robbed by Eurocentric people of all of its goods, the oil and the diamonds and all of these things. People have come through the centuries and robbed Africa, taken claim of certain countries. And of course, most countries now have gotten their, independence, but this has always been. And I think that it's important for us to understand that the way that African became people from all over the world was through the slave trade. The Middle Passage, when they came from Africa, when they took people from Africa, they dropped people off in the Caribbean, they dropped people off in South America, okay, Europe, the United States. And so this is how the diaspora was formed. It was formed through this horrific trade. And we are not, this country, the United States of America, has never belonged to one people. This was a land that other people came to, including the Anglo-Saxon, when they were dissatisfied with what was happening in England. So everyone that has come here, this country was built by immigrants. It was built through immigration. It was built through migration. It was built through slavery. No one group of people own America. And until people really understand, this is something that perhaps other people of color outside of America, they say to African Americans, for example, why are you always fighting with them? Why don't you just go back to Africa or, to the Caribbean to live or whatever? And that is a very viable thing to do. And there were people who during the slavery period that went back through colonization and so forth. But the philosophy was and is for many people who were born and raised here, generations and generations, that if I build my house here, I'm going to live in it, you know? So that is why the African American is an entity that's here. There's an entity that's been here for 400 years. And so now I can go to Nigeria and live, or anywhere else in Africa and live, and that's a beautiful thing. And people from Africa come to the United States to live or to go to school or for whatever reason. And we are everywhere. We are throughout, we are an international group of people. And we are now a force to be reckoned with. And I think we need to understand the power that we have, and to, if people of color, whether they are African, Caribbean, or people whose ancestry goes back 4 or 5 generations in this country, like myself, I call myself an African American. If we could just stop thinking about all the things that separate us, and be unified with the understanding that we all originate from that continent, we would be a much stronger entity in the world. And that's what I would like to see. I would like to see that people who originated in Africa, no matter how many generations back you had to go, we are still all from the same continent. And we need to understand the nuances and proclivities of being in different places. But we are the same, and we as a people of this color have allowed Eurocentric people to make us feel that we're less than. And I don't feel that. My mother didn't feel that. My grandmother didn't feel that. I was not raised with that. And what we need, and what I've been about, is emboldening and building a self-esteem about who you are. And you cannot do that if you don't really know who you are. You must know your history. You need to know the history that's right in front of you, and you need to know the history that's way before you. And that's why I call myself echoes of our ancestors, because the ancestry, that which is in my DNA, is always going to be here. And how I decide to process it or manipulate it or use it is another story. But first we have to acknowledge and recognize and honor it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. There is a comment that I would like to read while we're trying to see if, while Dr. Atanda links up. This comment is from Dr. Diane Gray in New York. She said, I believe that the colonizers do not really see Africa in such a negative light as they would like us Africans to believe they do. They know the benefits of Africa, and let us not be fooled. The white man knows that they cannot survive without Africa. So, Tammy, our historian, I would like to direct that to you to comment on that, if you may. Go ahead, Tammy.
Yes, yes, of course they know the benefits of Africa. I mean, the European nations sat in a room and decided which countries in Africa they would preside over. of course, the natural resources in Africa are astounding. They were astounding. They continue to be astounding. And we applaud the fact that the African nations uh, went and got their independence from these European countries, and even parts of South America that went and went into African countries and began to rule. That's absolutely true. Yes, they do know the value of, and I think it has been a publicity scam to make African Americans be ashamed of themselves, and also from where we originate. We were told to, that our appearance, our physical features and our hair and all these things, our lips and our nose, all these things, when I was a kid, and, people made fun of of how our rear ends and the things that we have, our physical characteristics that are different from the Eurocentric people. And it took a while for African Americans to come into their own and to embrace our appearance, our differences, which is why we mark certain times in history, such as the 1960s, the Black is Beautiful crusade, and before that, the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance, which many people have heard of, was all about African Americans accepting the fact that, yes, we're Americans by default. We're going to make the best of where we are, but we're not you. We realize that we have our own culture. We have things that are innate to us, and recognize and observe that which was endowed upon us from the motherland. We've never lost everything. We have not. And we it is a complicated mix, because we have African DNA. We have things that we do, and that come from the motherland, although we've been apart from so long. And we're also American, and it's a complicated mix. But no, I think no one really believes that Africa is a bad place. No, I do agree with the professor who says that was part of a campaign to make us be ashamed of who we are and where we came from. But we don't believe that. We have not held that belief for a very, very, very long time, and that is why so many African Americans uh, are seek to actually go back to any part of Africa, and understand and partake in the culture and the lifestyle that's there.
Okay, thank you so much. Um, well, we are getting towards the end of our program. Um, there is a comment that I would like to read from Otumba Anyakola Wole. He says, His Royal Highness Oba David Olushola Olatunde, the Onikun of Ikwamurekiti. It's nice having you as one of the panelists in this very important session. Thank you for your contributions to the discuss, particularly on promoting to the global audience the ample investment opportunities coming up in your domain. We appreciate you and your royal leadership efforts. Ekushelu.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you,
very,
Otuba. I'm grateful, sir.
okay. So we are coming to the end. As I said, Chief Atanda is still trying to come in. We will do this again. We will present this again because His Royal Highness had so much that he wanted to share with us about the Arungungu International Fishing Festival. This is a festival that's been going on for so many, many years, and you see excerpt of it in the film. And I talked a little bit about it, about the chief priest who would speak to the crocodiles, because I believe we are the original animal whisperers. The chief priest who spoke to the crocodiles and told the crocodiles to march out of the river. And they did. And in that land, you see men working with animals, being friendly with the animals, not killing them. They were dancing with hyenas, dancing with monkeys, and all different types of animal. And of course, Tammy and Chief Dr. Tanda and the whole crew enjoyed a huge fish, which you all saw. I don't eat fish, but you all saw that. But we will bring Dr. We'll bring His Royal Highness on again when he has another time. Next, I would like to introduce Chief Dr. Shola Olalika Ojelike Atanda, a Nigerian American born in Osogbo, Osun State. He is the proud founder and world president of Hataf International, with headquarters in Nigeria and branches in the United States, United Kingdom, and Mexico. A holder of a doctorate degree in metaphysics and many traditional titles, including Ashiwaju Awo of Lagos and Lagos State, and Ashiwaju Awo Agbaye. He is a High Chief of Ifa and the current president of our SADC, Ancient Religion Societies of African Descendants International Council, which is a global umbrella body for all African traditional religion. Honorable Chief Dr. Shola Atanda, it's a pleasure to have you here.
All right, I'll press on mute.
Okay.
Hello.
Oh, it's great to have you. Right on time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for trying, and thank you to for not giving up. I know the Nigeria poses so much challenges, and thank you, Charles, our chief technician, for making this happen. Baba, there are many people who have questions about traditional religion. What they saw in the film are confusing to many, and they have some questions. So African traditional religion is seen as pagan and idol worshiping, and nothing more but the killing of animals. Can you speak about this misconception?
Thank you very much. It is not their fault, because some people who were ignorant and also decided to turn religion to politics confused the world. In the 4th century, the Christians were calling the Romans, the people in Roman Empire, who were not the modern Christian, they were calling them pagan. The word pagan came from paganos in Latin. Paganos means not having God or having many gods. Paganos means somebody that does not belong to the known religion of God that they had that time. So if you are not a Christian, you are not a Buddhist, you are not a Muslim, then you are a pagan. And they had some set of people then also who actually did not believe in God. These are people who believe in talking to leaves, in talking to animals, in talking to trees, in talking to earth, who are free thinkers that do not believe in the existence of God Eledumare. So all of those people are put in the class of the pagan. So the African traditional religion was not known to them because Christianity and Islam were made up by some very powerful people who believed in God really, but they believed they should have a Messiah through who they can talk to God. That's why Christians had Jesus. That's why Muslims had Muhammad. That's why Buddhists had Buddha. That's why in Judaism they had Judah. So those are the ones they know as the people who are religious. So a person that is a pagan, they believe is not religious because they did not know about African traditional religion that we believe in God. Just like Christians have Jesus as the Messiah, Muslim had Muhammad as the Messiah, Buddhists have Buddha as the Messiah, Judas had Judah as the Messiah. So we had several messiahs, but none of them was ever called God and will never be called God. It is sheer ignorance because they don't know. African traditional religion is the first religion of God, and God sent his messiahs directly from heaven, not born of man, not born from the womb of a woman. They did not know that. So when they don't know that, they believe that anyone that is not a Christian, that is not a Muslim, that is not a Buddhist, then is a pagan. The word pagan stands for insulting people who do not know God, who do not believe in God, but who believe in the existence of water, leaves, trees, who are free thinkers, that they don't know God. There are many of them till today. There are millions of people who are free thinkers, who don't know God, who can be called pagan by the word, from the word they picked from paganos. If you Google or you go to a dictionary, go and see the meaning of pagan. Those are people who don't believe in God. African traditional religion is a religion after God. From our own culture, we believe God sent his own messiahs to us in Africa. Every continent of the world come from the continent of Africa, whether from you are from Brazil, you are from Europe, you are from the Americas, you are from India, anywhere in the world, they all left from Africa. So when we say African traditional religion, that's the original religion of God that were preached by the deities of God, the messiahs of God, directly from heaven, not born of a woman like Jesus had Maria as the mother, like Muhammad had his own mother and father. The African traditional religion is purer than that. It's closer to God than the other sort of religion. So I don't blame them. There are many people don't know the difference between worshiping and veneration. You can venerate your father as a sign of respect, your uncles, your kings, your head, your hand, a special tree in front of your house, the water that helps you a lot. But you worship God. God is the only entity that original Africans believe to be worshipped. This is why we need to educate people so that they don't mess up, they don't offend God. There's a difference between veneration and worshiping. Africans worship God. Africans will never call Ogun God. Africans will never call Shango, Oya, Ero, Oshun God. They will call them deities. They will call them Orisha. Any Orishada, the people who are created special by God, who came to this world in a special way. They are myths. So they need to be venerated. They need to be respected. And that's what Africans do. Africans don't have two gods. The gods and goddesses that they say are just the in the dictionary of the slave masters to blackmail Africans, to tell the world that we don't have God, whereas there's only one God. In Nigeria, Yoruba call God Eledumare. Hausa call God Allah. Igbo call God Shineke. People can have their dialect and call entities by different sound, but God, is only one God. So we African traditional religionists are not pagans because we have religion. And that's why we have an organization that is like the Christian Council and the Muslim Council, and even I would say it's more superior than that. And because our forefathers were not lettered in English, English is a foreign language. When the colonial masters came to Nigeria, they brought Christianity. Islam came and traveled into Nigeria too. They were doing some things that government wanted, like register an organization and then say, hey, that's our body. So also our forefathers organized themselves in a way to be accepted by government. Since 1795, they created a body that we now call the Asadic. They used to call it the Asada, Ancient Religion Societies of African Descendants Association. That was Asada. That was the one that was like the counterpart of the Christian Council and the Muslim Council. Now that body that has me as the world president is called ASADC, Ancient Religion Societies of African Descendants International Council. And we have branches in every state of Nigeria. We have registration in Abuja. We have the throne of Oni as the chair of the board of trustee. We have ex-president, ex-general Olusegun Obasanjo as the life patron. So we are organized, and every Oba in Nigeria knows that, especially in Southwest, know that they are Oba installed through African traditional religion. They can call it culture, they can call it whatever, but they know no Oba has been installed through Christianity. No Oba has been installed through Islam. So if Obas do not believe that we worship God, which means they believe that they are not installed through the word of God, that would be embarrassing. But they know. So African traditional religion believes that the pivot is God. The same God the Christian believe in, the same God the Muslim believe in, the same God the Buddhists believe in, the same God the Taoists believe in. But it depends on how it's called and how we prosecute ourselves. So the deities, the messiahs of God through African traditional religion are even more superior because they are all celestial. They came from heaven through mystical way. They didn't have earthly father and mother. They were commanded to come and they came and they started. And there's no religion before African traditional religion. Every person that is a Christian has a root from here, and they took it from Jesus Christ, that at least we know has an earthly mother. The religion of Christianity has it that, oh, God is his father, fine. I don't have any issue about that. That is belief system. And the Muhammad, they know he has a father and a mother, and he got married to her boss. I mean, to his boss. I mean, his wife was his boss. He worked under her. But that's their belief. No, there's no problem about that. So anybody that has a religion and the pivot of the religion is God, then I'm in. We're the same thing. So we are not pagans. People call African traditional religion paganism don't know. They don't mean to insult, it's because they don't know. So the word pagan is insulting. They link it to uh, uh, idolatry, like people worship idol. Again, they don't even know how African traditional religion respect idols or images or instruments. In African traditional religion, we call all of these instruments the sign of the Orisha, alter ego. When you see the staff of office of Ogun, which is made of iron, that is the alter ego that when Ogun was leaving mystically back to heaven, he put that down and said, hey, all you believe in God through me, when you get to this mystical iron and you are praying, your prayer will go to God because I am in the middle to carry your message and call the attention of God. That's why when you go to the church, you will have the pulpit, you will have the altar. When you go to the mosque, you will have something like altar. So all of the things we have, like water, like a hill, like a staff, like a fire, they are alter ego. They are not God. But the Orishas, the deities that brought them, the messiahs of God, put that down to us when they were living. They came mystically and they left mystically. So people should not be confused at all. And I don't blame them because they don't know. And that's why we're making sure people know. Many of the other religions like Islam, they have books. Like Christianity, they have books people read. But in Africa, in the beginning, the gift God gave to us was not the writing, was remembrance and sign. They put sign down. When you see the Oduifa, it is sign. And behind the sign, there are a lot of stories behind the sign, which we put in the head. It was mouth to mouth. We call it Ifa, the oral sacred citation based on science of number. And today, we know that we can teach Ifa in the classroom now. People can understand more that what is called Ifa is the words of Eledumare, the words of Eledumare, the Kabbalah. It is not man's word. The Messiah that brought this knowledge, called Orunmila, is an Orisha, is a Messiah. Orunmila is not God. When God created the world, he sent his Messiah to come and make it livable for the human, useful for the animal, created trees for the use of man for comfort, put in water for us to drink and be comfortable. All of these deities that came, called the messiahs, are called Orisha in our language. They came here, they taught us the ways of God, the do's and don'ts of God Eledumare, so that this world can be peaceful to us. They gave us ways to fight if I have a problem, to protect ourselves if danger is coming, to heal ourselves if we are sick. They taught us the power behind leaves, behind roots, and they established and had disciples before they finally left. So these are our messiahs. And the role the kings are playing, where the role the Obatala was playing, was playing to rule ourselves, because Oba were the head of government those days, and they had two sectors of
I'm
assistance
sorry,
in the
sir.
palace.
Sorry, sir. Sorry,
Yeah,
sir. Baba.
yeah,
Sorry, sir.
yeah.
There seems to be something that's covering your mirror. There's something that's covering your video. I think your hand, sir, is covering your
Okay.
image. If you can move your hand,
Okay. How about
your
like this?
hand. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. You see.
Uh-huh. Yes, that's better. That's
So,
much better.
so the kings had two committees in the palace: the spiritual and the political. The kings have the political committee, who come from the Otun Oba and all of the titles. When there's a problem, he knows what to call. Then he has the spiritual, headed by the Araba, or head of the spiritual people. So that's what they have in the palace, the spiritual and the political. So it is the political the king will call when it comes to political matters. It is the spiritual the king will call when there's a problem, when there's a war. You have to have the warlord through these disciples of Ogun. When there is a famine, he has to call Orishako to have plenty of food. When there is a problem of children, he has to call my mother Oshun. When there's a problem in the city of drinking, he has to call the mother in charge of good water. That's a year off, and that's why they have Arigungu. And that's why when we talk of we are the endless rower. We are saying that, the source God gave to us is endless. When you hear the ocean roar, it never stops. And that's why we decided with endless roar that our first important assignment is to uncover the hidden treasures of Nigeria. To uncover the hidden treasures of Nigeria. That's why we embarked on this project. That's when we went in, and we believe that navigation is the cheapest and the best way of covering the whole universe. That's why we centered on very three important cities of the world where water is extremely significant. That's why we went to Ikun. Everybody knows the importance of Yeyero. Minimum of the 2/3 of the state of Ekiti. They drink the water of Ero. The dam is there. They are never in want of water. They cannot suffer when it comes to agric when there's water. They have good water to drink. And when you go to Arigungu, they know that the water of Arigungu is the basis of civilization in Kebbi. It's never dry.
Kebbi.
They navigate it, they get minerals, they have fishes, they do a lot of things. It becomes international sport. And that's when it now comes to Oshogo, the water of Oshogo, which is also mystical, because the three waters are mystical water. They are not ordinary. The deity behind each of these water are messiahs of God. And when people understand this, they will know that African traditional religion believes in God very much. And anyone that believes in God, that has a religion, is not a pagan. So if people talk of pagan, they know what pagan means. But African traditional religion, or other religionists, are not pagans. So this is my little explanation in that area.
Thank you so much, Baba. We're so happy that we didn't miss the opportunity to hear from you. We were almost about to round up, but there is a question that someone is asking, and I think it's important that we hear this as well. In the film, during the time that the divination was taking place, there was music. You talked about the need for the drums to be present. Why is it that music is so important to African religion um, sessions or
Good,
practice?
good. God is a wonderful God. There is a Messiah behind music. God is not stupid. When there is music, the presence of God is more available, because the drum have its own mystical powers. Every lyric has mystical power. Then the music we play, the drums we beat are not ordinary. They were sent to this world by God through one Orisha or the other. When we have a thing say, Abelo nijo, Abelo nilu, Abelo nijo, Abelo nilu, Abelo lorin, Awanlo, Abe, that is an Orisha that God sent with the power of music, with the power of song, with the power of movement, dancing itself. It is when you do this that the presence of God will be there to approve it. So it is ordered by God. So without music, all of those things cannot come right. It is laid down. The instructions came directly from God through the deities. So, and the music they are playing is not ordinary music. Every music is related to every situation. So when we did something that we call Ikaro, when somebody is initiated and they say, okay, they have to do Ikaro, then they have to play music of each of the Messiah to round up to know that all of them are together in this initiation. And when they are playing it, people like Iya Osuntawede and other knowledgeable people, they say, oh, that's Ogun music. Oh, that's Shango music. Oh, that is Oshun music. Oh, that is Orunla music. Which means each music belongs to each Orisha. And the Orisha, we call them messiahs of God. So initiation, if it's actually about God, so this instrument of God must be present to make it happen. And it's when the music comes in that you see some initiates even go on trance because the Orisha come in them. Another thing I was saying that when you put an instrument of the Orisha down, like the rod for Ogun, the Ikin for Ifa, the otter for Oshun, the special bullet for Shango, it is when you evoke the spirit of the Orisha that they will come in. It is not the bullet you see on the ground that is just the real Orisha. There will be provocation, and provocation mixed with the right drum. We bring the presence of the Messiah and can even go into that particular person. You can discover the person starts to talk in tongues. The person has to dance in a special way. And in fact, when the power of Shango comes on an initiate, a slim lady like Malika, 4 or 5 people may not be able to hold her tight. With a push of the hand, she can throw them down, which means the spirit of those deities are already in there and can. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Baba. Thank you so much. We
Welcome.
have we're coming to the end of the program, and I'd like to give everyone just one minute final statement before we go. Let's start with His Royal Majesty. Kabiesi, please. Any final thoughts? Are we there? Kabiesi, please unmute. Kabiesi,
Yes,
yes, thank you so much.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. The night has been very exciting, educative, and rewarding. I thank Baba Atanda, who has done so much explanation and clarified quite a lot of doubts on issues of confusion to so many people. I think it's quite rewarding this night. I will just mention 1, 2, 3 things before I round up. On the issue of racism, which one of the panelists talked about, I think racism itself is part of slavery, and it's unfortunate. I think the modern trend it is, we are all human beings, and nothing has shown significantly that the white by color, that one is subject or subjugative or inferior to the other. We cannot get inferior to the other person by skin, even through the freelance and productivity of the blacks in the world. It has been very outstanding. Therefore, racism has become obsolete. I must be, fought to the last, so that at the end of the day, humanity can enjoy their dignity. Thank you very much. Like Baba said, the world is full of mystery. Religion is about God, worshiping God through a medium. And fortunately, what Baba referred to as messiahs are just means and intermediaries. And of course, to get across to Olodumare, who is our Lord. By and large, God is supreme. And as a supreme being, as a creator and the maker of the world, the essence of the whole thing is that we should be able to enjoy the abundance of our natural environment. And this is the more reason why people in diaspora, the African descent that were long lost into slavery, should rediscover themselves, which we call cultural renaissance. People, the emancipation of our people should come up and retrace themselves back to their original homes, which is Africa. And for us who are here in Africa and Nigeria, and I, as Oba Olatunde Dividolushola, the only form of the state in Nigeria, where we most, I will most welcome all our descent who are interested in coming back, the Black Africans who are interested in retracing their homes, to rejoin our people for good and development. Thank you very much for this opportunity this night. I wish you the best, Mrs. Joyce Adewumi. I wish you the best. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I also greet Malika and my other sister. So it's well with you. Hoping that one of these days again we'll have the more opportunities to have more opportunities or more interactions for the benefit of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. We're so grateful to you, Your Royal Majesty. Thank you for the hospitality that you extended to us when we visited Ikun Amure. Thank you for coming this evening. We know that it's almost 12 midnight there in Nigeria, and you took time to share your wisdom with us today. We're very, very honored and grateful. And we pray that this will be not the last time that we'll discuss with you or talk with you, but that we'll be able to have further discussions and also talk about how the children of Africa can come back to Iku Ekiti, Ikuamure Ekiti, because there are still more stories I know that you would love to share with the diaspora about what happened to our people there at Ikun Amure Ekiti. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Now, yes, sir. Now we're going to go to Chief Dr. Atanda. Please, final words. We're all just doing 1 minute so that we can close out in time.
Thank you very much. I'm very grateful to God that He has given us opportunity to bring out people whose presence, whose knowledge can make this world be a better place to live. And that is people like my royal father, the Onikwamure, that is a very special Oba. Oba, educated or not, they are gifted. Born Oba are very, very sacred. But when you now have an Oba, educated, enlightened, open, amiable, then we know that God is still kind to us. And for an Oba, a royal father, to be up by now, even if he's up in his palace till 1 a.m., praying, caring for the tomorrow of the city. Not everybody can go to the palace to see him after 10 p.m. But for him to be able to afford this time to extend his responsibility from outside the walls of Ikun to the diaspora, we need to thank him. And we need to praise God that has given us the opportunity to have his type of person as the king. So also is the emir of Arigungu that I had the opportunity to meet several times, and even that knew me before when I did not know him. It is a very special opportunity that I can meet the emir of Arigungu because his father was my father. I had opportunity to live with his father before, the surveyor in that city. And now that I'm now a friend of the present king, it's a great glory. God worked wonders, because if I just go there as a member of this team, he will welcome me. But for him to know that I lived in his palace with his father before, that is a better rapport. And this is a king that declares that he's a Muslim, and he's a Muslim, a true Muslim, a Muslim that fears God, that even know the reason why he cannot stop to be a Muslim, that he had the opportunity to share all of this with us. That is people who know what they are about. Getting to the city museum, one will know that God is real. And he did not hesitate to show things that people will be able to hold and know that truly Africa started from Nigeria. Africa is the home of the world, and Nigeria is the center, because that's why they call Nigeria the giant of Africa. So I pay homage to him and thank God the Ledumare on his behalf. This is a king that with everything he had, he was still teaching people the way to live by example, because he had some special days that he attended his own farmland. We had the opportunity to be there with him on the farm before. He does not say, oh, I have everything, they're happy to bring this and that. That this emir takes 80% of what they eat in the palace from his personal farm. This is what the royal fathers have to emulate. And this is part of our uncovering the hidden treasure of Nigeria. We know there's so many things the Oniku showed us, so many things the Emir of Arigungu showed us. That is a sample of what we are talking about. If people try to investigate and know, it's better from just relying on rumor that, oh, Africa, they still live on the trees, oh, they tie rope to their loins. Why don't you come and see? So we hear of cases of raping, we have cases of kidnapping, we have cases of killing and things. But why don't we see the other side too? Is Nigeria just about killing? Is Nigeria just about kidnapping? We just see the case they just uncovered now in America about the Saudi king that ordered the the brutal killing of a journalist. And the former president of America did not do anything about it. They even kept the report in secret until the new president now exposed it. What I'm saying, in effect, is that I'm not saying that there's no odds here, but it's not peculiar to Nigeria. It's not peculiar to Africa. A lot of things happen in America, in China, in India, in Russia, in many places, in Britain. Come and discover it by yourself, because Africa is home. Like Oniko has said, don't let people of African descent hesitate to come home. It's your home. Come and see what God has created in Africa. God, come and see what God has done for the Black, so that we shall know the way to pray more. Because if you know what God does for you, that's when you know how to appreciate. And when you appreciate, more will be given to you. Please don't hesitate. Come and discover the hidden treasure in Nigeria by discovering the hidden treasure in Africa. We have a lot here, and may all of the deities, the messiahs of God, be there for us, and may this world be saved. We are hopeful the coronavirus will go away. All this pandemic will vanish. Killing of innocent people will stop. Kidnapping will stop, because we believe in God, because we are the endless roar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Baba. Yes, indeed. We must also extend our appreciation to the Emir of Faragungu, not only because of the hospitality that he extended to us when we were there, but also because he tried so hard. He's been trying since to get on. He wanted to be here. He wanted to speak to his people. We'll do this again. And you all will have another opportunity to hear His Royal Highness speak. And you'll be able to have your questions asked. So let's move on to Tammy Tyree, if you can put on the light so we can see you better, see your lovely face, and give us your final thoughts, please.
Yes, I was trying to get my lighting at home. I have lots of lights on, but I don't know. But you remember what I looked like a few minutes ago.
That's my Tammy.
Well, I don't know if you have changed. If you want to say hide some beauty that you have put on your face.
I don't know. I had so many lights. I don't know what happened. Why it started going down. I don't know. But I want to say that with regard to the spirituality aspect of the trip, so much of the Christian practice comes from what I saw and what I experienced with the sacredness of water and the rituals that took place. That is a big part of the Christian doctrine. And although many religions have different ways of reaching to God, and some have intermediaries to God itself, Christianity is a monotheism. We do believe in one God. I know that African descended people definitely put spirituality and religion at the forefront. Speaking once again for African Americans, religion is really what has sustained us. And while most African Americans were forced into Christianity, but there's not enough time for me to just really discuss this, but we never adapted Christianity the exact same way as our European colleagues in Christianity. Ours is what is known as a theology of liberation. There's something called liberation theology, where we reinterpreted the scriptures and found the hypocrisy in what was being taught. We were taught, they had us to be Christians and told us that we were meant by God to be slaves. But we related back to the Israelites who were enslaved by the Egyptians and how God freed them and liberated them, and essentially said that slavery was not meant for human beings. So the Christian religion in the hands of African Americans here in the United States is a theology of freedom and of liberation, which is why the Black church, we created our own churches. We did not worship with the Europeans because of the hypocrisy. We started our own churches, and there's a liberation theology. And this is why so many major leaders in the Black culture and in the movement have come out of the church, Martin Luther King and others, because for African American culture, the church and religion is not separate, and the church is not a separate part of who we are. You cannot explore the African American culture without the church. And without religion and without God, that one God, however you want to arrive at him or her, we would not be here. We would not have been able to sustain ourselves here without religion. And so there are direct correlations between what we do in our religious practices as African Americans in our churches that relate to what I saw in Africa.
Thank
And
you.
so we are not separate from you in terms of valuing the importance of spirituality and religion. And we are empowered and emboldened by God. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Well said, Tammy. Malika Harris, your final thoughts.
Yes, I want to first thank God for being here with you all. And what I want to leave with everyone is to keep an open mind and to not do anything alone. I say that because I received that wisdom spiritually. And when you do stuff with people, you get more. You see the whole trip and how it unfolds because we were together. So whenever you decide to go to Africa, make sure you connect with good people. You have us, you have Oluwo Baba, Chief Miss Joyce, who is connected to the wonderful Royal Highness Kings. And that type of experience, spiritual, cultural, business, you can only have with We Are the Endless World Tour if you want that experience. So go with good people, make a plan, pray, and make sure that's on your bucket list and connect with your roots. Not everybody is going to practice African tradition. I understand that, but have an understanding so you can have a peace of mind and erase fear and myths so that you can see the blessings in it and continue to honor God, honor yourself, honor your parents, honor your ancestors, and continue to lean on your elders at whatever age you are, and just continue to navigate and do good. And I'm grateful to my family and friends, Aluo, Chief Miss Joyce. Hey, Charmaine, Babalao, Shangosanya, all the Royal Highness, everybody on here. I'm just grateful to be a part of this and continuing the legacy of my ancestors, for everybody to have their own experience. You saw one experience, now it's time for you. So thank you. And thank you for the great tech assistants, Mr. Charlie, everybody behind the scenes. And I'm so grateful to have Oluo and Chief Miss Joyce in my life, because look, I would not have been on this trip if it wasn't for them, and also my Ori listening and not being stubborn and being scared and trying to go to Mexico instead of Nigeria. When I decided, I went. And I'm blessed, and I'm just excited for other people to have the same experiences at their own time. And Miss Tammy was a pleasure to travel with. I couldn't have been with like the best people to have this first experience with. I learned a lot from every single person. So I leaned heavily on my elders to navigate and do the right things.
Thank you so much, Malika. This journey has been greater than anything that I would have taught it myself. So I didn't plan this myself. I guess I'm just following. I'm just following divine instructions. It's been, I can't even put it to words how grateful I am to have met and worked with and be hosted by our royal fathers, the Emir of Aragongo, the Onikon of Ikon, which happens to be my ancestral home. Many of you may not know this, but that's my ancestral home. Also having the guidance of Baba, Chief Shola Atanda. As you can see, he's a man filled with knowledge. So if you have someone who's so knowledgeable about so many things, and you understand that you are just a child, and then you go to someone who is that knowledgeable, and you allow them to um, give you some of their wisdom, you find out that your life will be pretty awesome. So I thank you, Baba, for all your instructions. And
You're welcome.
Tammy, my buddy, can't
My
you
buddy.
know, we got closer together. We got closer. Our friendship got closer after this trip.
Well,
And
I figured, you know, I said either we were going to love each other or hate each other after the trip. It's love. It's love.
love. Thank God it's love. And Malika, my daughter, my adopted daughter. You are just amazing. Thank you for everything that you do. Well, we have come to the end of this program. There's so many more things that we could talk about for 21 days. You can
Absolutely.
imagine, there's so many things that we could talk about, but we're stopping here, and we hope you'll join us at another time. Thank you. We
Thank you.
uh, no, it took all of us to get this together. This our program is on the space. The space is presented on the last Saturday of every month at 5 p.m. This was a special one. The space is dedicated to showcasing the contributions of people of African descent to knowledge, because I felt that there was a need for us to do that. So once a month at 5 p.m., we will be presenting the space. Please check us out at www.thespaceseries.com. This program is supported in part by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs in partnership with the City Council. Additional support provided by Fund for the City of New York, Howard Gilmer Foundation, New York Community Trust, the Mosaic Network, WQXR-FM is our media partner. Also want to thank NAPAC USA under the leadership of Dr. Nelson Aluya and Charles Bucks, our great engineer, for ensuring that this program ran smoothly today. Thank you for joining us at the space, a place for me and you on Facebook and YouTube. See you next time.